It was a cold and dark night, and the sky was overcast. Ramesh was about to board a train from Delhi to Lucknow for his office work. The train was an overnight one that would reach its destination in the morning. The station was relatively quiet, and the cold winds might have been the reason for the emptiness. The train stood on platform number 7, and strangely, the compartments were almost empty. Ramesh entered his reserved compartment, where there were only 4 other passengers. An old man sat quietly on his seat, staring out of the window, while a woman tried to calm her child, who was crying at the bar window. A young boy listened to music on his phone, trying to drown out the noise. The atmosphere on the train felt strange and heavy. As the train whistled and slowly left the platform, Ramesh sat near the window, took out his bag, and started arranging his files. The view outside the train started to blur, and a cold breeze came in through the window, making Ramesh feel uneasy. He looked out of the window and saw something strange, but when he closed the door, he still felt a restlessness in his heart. As night grew darker, Ramesh felt that the atmosphere in the compartment had become even stranger. The old man continued to stare out of the window with a scary expression on his face. When Ramesh tried to talk to him, he didn't respond, as if he was lost in another world. The train stopped at a deserted station called Kalapan. Ramesh had never heard of this name before, and the platform was empty. There was no human being in sight, only a broken bench and a hanging lamp. The train stopped for a few minutes and then started again. But when it moved forward, Ramesh saw shadows standing on the platform staring at him. Ramesh tried to ignore this, thinking it was just his tiredness playing tricks on him. But as soon as the train picked up speed, he felt that the temperature in the compartment had dropped significantly. He wore his jacket to warm up, but then he realized that the woman and her child were missing. Ramesh looked around frantically but couldn't find them anywhere. He asked himself what was happening. Now only the old man and the young boy were left in the compartment. Suddenly, the young boy's phone fell to the ground and disappeared as well. Ramesh was scared and looked at the old man, who was still staring out of the window. "What's going on?" Ramesh asked fearfully. The old man looked at him slowly and said, "This train will take you to a place from where no one returns." Ramesh got goosebumps and tried to get up and run towards the door. But when he looked out of the window, he saw only darkness. The speed of the train had increased so much that it seemed like it was flying through the air. Then Ramesh felt that someone else's presence was in the compartment. He turned around and saw a woman wrapped in a white sari standing there. Her face was blurred, but her eyes were shining. "Who are you?" Ramesh asked tremblingly. "I don't know," he replied. The woman screamed loudly and suddenly disappeared. Ramesh tried to control himself, but then the train lights went off, plunging the compartment into darkness. When Ramesh switched on his phone's torchlight, he saw that every corner of the compartment was dark. He screamed loudly and closed his eyes, but when he opened them again, he found himself in a forest. The train was no longer there, and he was standing alone. There were tall trees all around him, and a strange smell filled the air. Strange sounds came from everywhere, making Ramesh feel disoriented. He tried to run away from there, but found himself stuck in the forest. Suddenly, he saw a light far away and ran towards it. But when he reached there, he saw that it was the same train, but this time it was completely burnt. Screams came from inside it. Ramesh looked inside the train and saw all his fellow passengers burning. He sat on a seat in a burnt state when someone put a hand on his shoulder. He looked back in fear and saw the woman in white sari standing there again. "You can never go back now," she said. Ramesh screamed loudly and everything went black. When Ramesh opened his eyes again, he found himself on a hospital bed. A doctor told him that he had met with a train accident but asked him about the name of the train. When Ramesh replied that it was Kalapur Express, the doctor said that it had been closed for 20 years. Ramesh lay quietly on the hospital bed, feeling numb after listening to the doctor's words. He couldn't understand whether what he had experienced was real or just an illusion. After spending 2 days in the hospital, Ramesh decided to find out the truth about the incident and started searching for information about Kalapur Express and Kalapan on the internet. But he couldn't find much information about it. There were rumors of a train that occasionally carried local passengers to small towns and villages but was discontinued after a mysterious accident 20 years ago. According to rumors, the Kalapur Express caught fire one night and all passengers aboard died. Ramesh decided that he would go to the station where the accident happened and packed his things to take a bus to Kalapan. Even while sitting in the bus, he felt a sense of fear hovering over him. When he reached Kalapan, he found it to be a small village where people looked quiet and strange. He went to a local tea stall and asked about the station. The old shopkeeper stared at him and said, "Why do you want to know about that station from where no one returns alive?" Ramesh made an excuse and said that he was just interested in history. The shopkeeper took a deep breath and said, "The station is deserted now. People are not there. I don't like to go there. But if you want to go there, then it's your choice." Ramesh asked for directions from the shopkeeper and started walking towards the station. The road was deserted and scary, with dense trees all around and an eerie silence prevailing. When Ramesh reached the station, he saw that it had completely turned into ruins. Broken benches, rusted tracks, and an old board on which was written Kalapan were all that remained. The station was dusty and dirty, but Ramesh felt as if someone was watching him. He fell into a trance-like state again and saw himself back on the burning train with all his fellow passengers making strange gestures on their faces. There were burn marks on their faces, and fear and anger were visible in their eyes. It seemed as if every corner of the train was ready to swallow Ramesh again. The woman wrapped in white sari came and stood close to Ramesh again. Both anger and pain were visible in her eyes. "Your stubbornness has brought you here," she said in a slow but cold voice. "Now you will be a part of it," she said with a hint of sadness in her voice. "This train will now be your new home."